Hello everyone, this video is part 2 of learning VS Code. Please check out the playlist to see part 1 and how to install if you need help with that. This video will not be the last, but the next VS Code tutorials will be one-offs since the order doesn't matter and I'm always finding cool plugins to try. Okay, so I've ran into another issue with formatting. So I have a simple React project up. I don't think that matters that it's React. I just have an example JS file. So we've got this function here. And then we've got these brackets, and for some reason it's not like formatting still. And so when you hit save, it should format, but it just doesn't know how to do it. So we can use Prettier to help with this. So the first thing we'll want to do is go to extensions and type in Prettier, and then click on it and install. Okay, and then now if we add another line to our comment, we'll hit save and it's still not doing it. And there's a way that we can like turn it on by going to Control-Shift-P or Command-Shift-P, the user settings. We can click in here, and then there's an editor default formatter. So if we do quotations, editor.default formatter, and then set it to esbenp.prettier VSCode, comma, save, and then that will turn on Prettier VSCode on all the formatting stuff. And so you can add settings to Prettier, which we'll talk about a little later. But now if we add another line, we've turned on Prettier. So if we hit save, now it will save into a much nicer looking file. So that's Prettier. And I added a few folders with commonly used names, and you'll notice that they're all currently just arrows. The fact that they're empty doesn't matter, but these are just empty. Like it's kind of hard to tell them apart from each other, especially if there is a million of them. So you can use icons, and we're going to install an extension with that. And I just like the VSCode icons. So if you just type in VSCO or icons or whatever, it should be one of the top ones that show up. So VSCode Icons by the VSCode Icons team. If you click install, and then set file icon theme. Okay, I think that's done. Let me hit this file here, the file explorer. Okay, and so now we can see that it's much, well, prettier, haha. Okay, so we've got all these folders, each with icons. Not all folders are gonna have icons, but if you use a commonly used name like GraphQL or something, it's going to show their logo or whatever. So let me just open it again and make sure that it was actually saved. So open with code, and then pull it over, and it looks like we're good. Another quick win is renaming of tags. So I've got this div here, and if I try to make this a span, I have to go over here to the other side and go span as well. Well, no longer, because we have an extension called auto rename tag. So if I type in auto rename, there's this package by Jun Han. If we click it, hopefully I said that right. When we hit install, okay, let's close that out. And now let's try to turn this one into a span. Cool. Okay, so that works much nicer. So let's keep that. In this section, I've added some colors, and unfortunately, I haven't found one that will work on these, at least not in JS files, so like background yellow, green. But if you have this pound sign and the hex value color, it should work. This color highlighting. So let's just install the package. So I'm going to go to the extensions, type in color, and this color highlight Bersergi N. If we hit install, then we go to our app.css file, we see that the yellow green works in the CSS, and all of these colors work. They're highlighted. And then in the example JS file, this React file, we get it working when we use a hex color. So it's just easier to find colors. So that's kind of neat. The next thing I wanted to talk about is this pretty cool like ability to get to a place in the editor quickly. So I learned this from Spacemacs originally, and basically you can type exactly where you want to go and then press a key to get there. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a sec, but let's remove Sublime Text from this setup, and I'm going to eventually use Vim, so we're going to set that up as well. But if you prefer Sublime Text, that's totally up to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for this package called Jump, or Jumpy. And I'm actually going to show you two different packages, and you can just pick whichever one you like. So Jumpy is one that allows you to go to any word. So if you click install, and I forget what the automatic key is. So once you've installed it, we're going to go to our shortcuts. So I'm going to type in shortcuts after hitting Control Shift or Command Shift P. Open keyboard shortcuts. Oh, not the JSON. I want the non-JSON. And I'm going to type in Jumpy. And we're going to do Jumpy word. And I'm going to say space J. And this is not going to work very well if you're not using Vim. So if you are not using Vim, you may want to do like a control J or control something, not a space. Because if you're trying to type, space will get in the way. But anyway, I'm going to hit enter. And so we're going to use Jumpy word when we press space and then J. So now if I go to unique users, if I type in space J, it pulls up a ton of different options. And so now if I type in CE for right here, then it's going to take the cursor and it's going to put it right there. So CE, and then now my cursor is right there. Let's try again, space J, and let's say I want to get down to here. I could say EP, and then now my cursor is all the way down here. So it adds characters in front of each word, and then you can choose which word you'd like to quickly jump to in the text editor. And so this is really awesome, but what if you want to go to the middle of the word because you found a typo? So there's a slight modification that's not available in this package that I actually tend to prefer. I'm not sure if I'm going to use Jumpy or the other one, but I want to show you both of them. So I'm going to go back to this keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to remove this key binding, and then I'm going to remove Jumpy. So I'm going to uninstall Jumpy, reload, and then we're going to use MetaJump. So I'm going to go to search extensions, and I'm going to type in MetaJump. And then I'm going to click install on this one. Okay, so once MetaJump's installed, we'll want to have a basic idea of how to use it. So if you scroll down, it says this alt / is the trigger. But if you go down a little bit farther, it tells you the actual command that gets triggered. So alt / will trigger metago.goToSmart. And I was playing around with this, so I think I accidentally deleted this key binding, but let's go to this goToSmart in the keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to do Control Shift P, and then open keyboard shortcuts, and then go to Smart. And we have metago.goToSmart, and this should be this should be alt /. That's what it is by default. So if you have it like this, then what we can do is you can go to your key, you can go to a file, and you can press and hold alt and then /, and then it'll allow you to type. So if I want this resolver here, let's say I want to go specifically to the S, I can type in S. Oh, that was weird. Alt /S, and then if I press V, it will take me to the V. And then you notice that there were multiple options. So let's do alt / again. We'll type in S, and we can see we get some of them are multi-character. So let's say I want to get up to this one. I see that it had J on it, but let's type in the first character and then see what happens. So alt and /, S, and then I'm going to type in J, and then now we have other options. So K will take me to this one. So the one thing I don't like about this is it's kind of hard to see the second character until you type the first one, but I guess that is close enough to, you know, it's about as good as I'm going to get it. I do prefer Spacemax's setup a little bit better, but I think this is pretty good. And I come from a Spacemax background, or I used to use Spacemax, and I really liked how you were able to use the space bar, and then so with Spacemax it's space J and like J or something like that. But the problem with that in VS Code is you can't actually use the space bar at all without triggering the jump command. So that's not going to work, at least not without some advanced like key binding setup. So I'm just going to leave that to you, or maybe we can talk about some key binding setups with Vim later down the road. But let's actually go ahead and set up Vim now. So in this section, we're going to set up Vim. So I'm going to type in Vim in the extensions. Oh, and by the way, I'm just going to leave the space, the MetaJump to the default Alt/ for now. So anyway, let's set up Vim. So type in Vim, hit install. Okay, and it's installed. So now we've got this huge fat cursor, and we have the view mode, or like moving around mode, I forget what it's called, and then insert mode. And so if you type in K, you'll actually go up, and then if you type in J, you'll go down. If you type in 7J, you'll go down 7 characters. You can type in 17J and go down 17 characters. And then L takes you to the right, and then H takes you to the left. And you can use any number and L to go any number to the right. So if I type in 6L, it takes me 6 to the right. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Vim. And also an important thing is to actually know how to type. So pressing K moves you up. So how do you actually type the letter K? And if you type in E, you know, it doesn't really do what you would imagine. Like, it's not typing in E. So you need to actually enter insert mode to actually type in Vim. So you can do that with a couple different characters. So let's notice how I'm on top of the letter U. If I type in A, the cursor goes behind the letter U. And then you can press escape, and then now I'm covering U again. And if I type in I end up before the letter U. So we're entering and exiting insert mode here. So right now, when the cursor is small, I'm actually in insert mode. So if I type in AAA, it's actually typing. And if I type in K, it's typing. But if I exit insert mode by pressing escape, then now when I type in K, I'm moving up. So you want to actually be in insert mode when you want to type. So again, A and I are the easiest ways to get into insert mode. So if I type in A, again, the cursor gets smaller, and that allows me to type freely. And then again, pressing escape gets me out of insert mode, and then I can move around easier. So that is Vim, the most basic possible way to understand Vim. So now, I don't like how thick this cursor is anymore, so I'm going to save the file. I'm going to go Control-Shift-P, and then open user settings, the JSON, and I'm going to get rid of the 5 of the cursor width and make it a 2. So now I'm going to save, and now if I enter insert mode, it's much smaller, and I think that's more appropriate to make it easier to know whether you're in insert mode or not. So I'm going to keep it at 2, close out of that, and that is a very basic intro on Vim. I recommend checking out my other tutorials on Vim, or checking out the Vim tutor, which I can probably link to or something. But yeah, you'll definitely want to learn more about how to use Vim if you're going to be using Vim in VS Code. Doing text editor tutorials is weird because it's never really complete and it's hard to know like when to be done. There's also no logical way to progress once you know the basics. So we could have done the MetaJump at the beginning or at the end. It didn't really matter. So from this point on, any text editor tutorials will probably just be one-offs and just lumped into a playlist. So please check out the links in the description to either get the playlist, the course, or the blog post, or whatever comes next to continue your VS Code mastery. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to be notified when we release new tutorials. Also be sure to like the video and leave a comment to let us know what you think. Lastly, check out the link or links in the description. We usually create a blog post to go with the tutorial, and we might have a newsletter or course or something to check out as well. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.